Interesting.
So, I guess...
You knew about my mother, didn't you? That's what you hinted at back at the fort.
Well, the answer is yes, but they weren't enough to go on, and I had no idea your mother was connected to the blood burn.
Why didn't you tell me?
Is that so? And exactly what that I believe you might be the result of your father's experiments? That you're the offspring of some long... I mean, at best, you wouldn't have believed me. And at worst, it would have cost you your sanity. So no, I don't think I should have told you. I didn't know if these suspicions had any substance at all, and I would have been at great risk, especially back then when you were still part of the rebellion.
Where did these suspicions come from? Did my
No. And he never found out that I knew. Your father... I don't need to tell you how meticulous he was, do I? I found one, a notebook. The story's actually quite simple. Your father had gone out to meet with Aelot Iskander, and had tasked me with...
Really? He never let me into...
I know. And he wasn't exactly trustworthy towards me, neither. But you know Asamo. His mood was never what you'd call stable. It was part of his charisma, I guess. Sometimes I think the reason why the Mage Rebellion became so big was less of Asamo's magical powers, rather than his ability. So I had found this small booklet on his table.
What was in there?
His experiments in the eye. The ancient woman, as he called her. Your creation, these waxwork figures which he tried to infuse with life. It was disturbing.
That book. Did it say anything about how this ritual worked? Andrew said something about...
I don't think it can be compared to how two humans reproduce, if that's what you're thinking. But as for the details... I don't know. As I said, I barely had 1 hour.
Do you still have that?
No, of course not. I couldn't even read through all of it, else your father would have noticed that I had done nothing of what he had tasked.
I figured. So, why did he, well, create me? My mother said it was to gain access to the Archfire.
Yes, I think that was the main reason. Though I couldn't help but notice a certain... I don't know... warmth in his words when he described his plans.
Was there?
I know it sounds cynical, Tahar. Still, I don't think you were just a tool to him. You tell me, Tahar, knowing all that, how does it make you feel?
Well, it tells me that my choice to betray him was the right one. I was never sure if Asamo was really the
Yes. Either way, I think we both need some time to think. As I said, Tahar, I'm sorry that I didn't tell you earlier, but I simply didn't know what to do.
Let's see. Now, would you look at that?
Tahar, it is good to see that you have recovered.
They did?
Yes. The Lord Marshal tried to assume control, but as you might have expected, he did not have everybody's support. I must say, Tahar, your mother, she is remarkable. I have always wondered what the Shapers look like, and now I do. Though I suppose this is a difficult topic for you. Forgive me if my words were inappropriate.
It's all right.
Good. Is there... Yes? What is it?
So, Undergast, when you told me about your split with Lena...
You are asking if we were in love. Am I correct?
Well...
Then let me start by telling you that the term love is undefined and that theories about it conflict one another. I have read a lot of books on it, and I've studied the poems, and I've come to the conclusion that it is ultimately a primitive, carnal urge that I, myself, never felt it. And maybe that was because I saw the underlying mechanisms. I always found it strange how people overreact so strongly to such a simple emotion, and maybe that very fact stopped me from being able to feel these emotions at all.
Well...
The desire to reproduce with a fitting mate. In fact, the orcs have a very dry, rational view on this process, but for some reason humans, dwarves, and elves do not.
True. I never understood why we idealized that.
Once again,
So, what you're saying is that you were never able to feel love.
no, it was not that simple. What stood out, you see, Tahar, to me, the bonds people have always felt peculiar. And I am not like Yana. Her mind simply does not have the ability to feel these bonds anymore. She had them once, but then she lost. My brain is capable of feeling these things, but I am unable to connect with the outside world. I only have my own mind as a frame of reference. For example, when a person tells you yes, whereas he or she means no, I can't. To me, this person's distress would make no... But then there was Lena. For some bizarre reason, she understood me and I understood her. Or at least, I thought that I did. It was as if this barrier, this shell that separates my mind from others, was pervious to her emotions. I know how, yet it changed me. All at once, I felt connected. Do you know this feeling, Tahar? You have traveled with these people for quite some time now.
Well,
I see. Then you probably know how distracting such a feeling can be. To be honest, when I first became aware of that bond between Lena and me, I was horrified. I could not focus anymore. When I sat down to write my studies, I realized after hours that...
your inability to relate to others, is it?
Yes. If it were not, I might have considered my sudden connection to Lena as a symbol of overcome. Even though I felt connected to Lena, I was still unable to feel the same way towards others. This is what deeply confused me.
What did Lena make of all that?
Nothing. Unlike me, she did not try to analyze, to understand its origin. At the same time, I believe this is what made our relationship unique. Complete acceptance. She did not try to tell me how I should behave or feel, and neither did I. Even when she decided to leave the guild and I decided to stay behind, we both...
I see. Am I right to assume that your relationship ended with your disagreement over the...
No, you misunderstand. We never had a relationship. Although the feelings were mutual and we, acted on them, we never felt the need to bind ourselves to some close-minded... But yes, you are correct. It was the disagreement that broke our bond. Quietly, she left and never returned.
Do you feel, I don't know, betrayed?
Betrayed? No. By betrayal, people usually mean when someone behaves contrary to what they agreed on, or, more often than not, desires, wishes, and urges are natural things, and I always found the usage of such heavily judgmental words to be very childish. Lena did what she thought was right, and so did I. I have not and will never blame her for that. Yes, what is it?
So,
You are... Then I myself never felt it.
What?
The desire to reproduce with a fitting...
Lo-
Well, no. You see, Tahar, to me, my brain... But yet it changed me. I see. Then you...
I see.
No, but yes, you are correct. That is I do not know.
I can imagine.
You have nothing to thank me for. But there is one more thing I would like to ask.
Tell me.
Do you have regrets? Do you ever feel as if you could and should have acted differently than you did act?
Yes, I do.
I understand. You see, I've never told you this, but I find your resilience...
How so?
Well, it is no secret that you have endured a lot of pain, especially your early childhood must have made a mark on your psyche. But still, you did not give up.
Well,
I can see that. Either way, I think we have spent enough time talking.
we should. So long, Undergast. Understood. What's next?
So, back on your feet again, aren't you? Do you think you can handle it? Leading the troops, I mean?
Why wouldn't I?
Well, you've obviously been through a lot. Finding out that your mother's a shaper, and that you are the result of... At least all that explains why your aura has always felt so strange. You're not human. At least not entirely. Makes you more interesting, though.
So I guess that means you're
Yeah, you guessed right. But at least for now. You're not the only one with an interest in seeing the purity of life. Now we should probably get back to planning. There's plenty of things we need to do if we want to get Greyfell back from that
Right.
He will. Huh?
Never mind. I'll be going.
Ah, Tahar. Good of you to...
Sure.
Yes. I'll be brief. While you were asleep, an elven messenger came by.
Merilith?
Only that he needed your help. They, that is, he and a couple of his followers, seemed to be somewhere deep in the Leafshade jungle, near the Halayish ruins.
The old Hibernian city.
I don't know, Tahar. We will need to find out.
Do we really have...
That is something you will need to decide. But if we don't help, it might cause unrest within the Moor here, who are fighting for us.
All right.
We should. Is there anything else you wish? Yes, Corporal? How can I?
About you being an assassin. You said that you might be willing to tell me more about that.
I'm still not certain. The question really is, do you want to know? It might change something.
Well, I wouldn't...
All right. Do you remember what I told you about that man who bought me from the Greyfell Bazaar? My owner? I also told you that after an incident, he discovered my
I remember. But what does that have to do...
It's complicated. Just listen, and the incident took place at a festivity. A lot of highly influential people were there, servants of the crown, wealthy merchants, nobles. My master knew all of Greyfell's elites. As always, at these festivities, it was and it must have been close to midnight, when a man took me into his chambers. I'd learned to play along years ago, because for some reason, that man wanted me to tell him that I loved him. I did, but he kept on telling me that I should say it like I really mean it. I had almost lost consciousness when I felt something break. I don't know how else to put it. It was as if my mind simply cracked open, like a crystal ball smashed against a mirror.
I don't follow.
My magic, my dreamweavery, that's when it broke free. You probably don't know this, but the only way to become a dreamweaver is by shattering your mind. You are opening yourself to the thoughts and emotions of others, but you lose your own.
Wait, Dreamweavers don't feel and think?
No, we do. But it's differently than normal people. Me. The Iana you're talking with is the result of long work, and I know how to blend in. To seem like I'm just like you. But the world inside my head is an entirely different one.
What happened to the man?
I killed him. It wasn't a conscious choice, looking back. I even think that shattering my mind was my body's way of ensuring survival. I closed my eyes, reached out for the man's mind, and at first I was disoriented. But
To kill him?
Yes. To massacre him. Hear his screams. To see his life taken by my hand. I grabbed a lantern that was standing on a bedside table. To get back to your original question, that urge, it stuck with me. I think that the moment when my mind shattered and I became ever since then, I've found violence and bloodshed to be ecstatic, erotic even. And when I kill someone, like I killed that man, I feel... Yes. My master introduced me into the craft. Probably because he knew that my dreamweavery had changed me. I wasn't just more than that even. I needed what these new tasks my master sent me on provided me with. Of course, I briefly considered changing my profession after my master had his accident. But I didn't. Killing is something I need. As much as a child needs the...
Well...
I can imagine.
Let's
Yes,
see.
Corporal? How can I... I'm still not...
Well,
it's the... I had almost lost consciousness.
I don't...
My magic.
To kill...
Yes, to get... Yeah, more than... Of course, I briefly considered changing my profession after my master had his accident.
But... is there no way to cure you?
No, there isn't. The Finnon Mir have experimented a lot with reversing a Dreamweaver's mind to what it was before he became one. And all their test subjects died.
What about your victims?
Once again, Tahar, I do not feel emotions the way you do. Of course I wonder if I made a mistake, but my reflections are purely based on theory. But then again, I don't accept just any contract. The way Leonidas described you, you were a monster in human disguise. And that's the first principle I try to live by.
What? No
There's no need for sarcasm. I know that my restrictions may seem...
Well, but what if you're wrong?
That has happened before, and it will happen again. You see, I do not consider myself some kind of vigilante, some kind of judge. Ultimately, I know that I know. Now tell me, Tahar, do you regret asking me this question? Knowing all this?
You're not.
Really? Anyway, I would like some time for myself now. I hope you understand.
Will do.
Oh, great. Another one. How often do you want me to tell you? I'm not a spy, and I'm not with Purity.
Wait, you're their leader.
Yes?
Well, then maybe you can tell these fools to let me go. Blazes, I knew it was stupid to take that job.
So, who are you?
As I told this bloody brute who captured me, I'm just a courier, and someone paid me to deliver. I had no idea it was the Corporal Tahar, and had I known, I would have told that guy who gave me the job to sod off.
Who was it?
Well, he was wearing a hood, so he obviously didn't want to be recognized, but he had a brown beard, was about your height, and had...
But he didn't look dangerous and paid good...
Can I see?
Finally, someone who asks. Yes, it's in my coat pocket, and no, there's no...
Let me see.
A friend, you see? Can I go now?
Yes. Go.
Thank you, Corporal. Thank you. Now, don't get...
They will.
I'll try.